Welcome to IK Talks, where we bring different people from the team IK and we put them on this virtual hot seat. Today we have with us Chandni and Stuti. The agenda is simple. We're going to talk to you about what you do at IK, how you do it, what are your individual strategies to achieve business goals, what do you do outside work, and a lot of other fun stuff. All right. So I'm going to do a quick round of introductions. This is the second episode of IK Talks, and we have with us Stuti. Stuti is the senior manager at IK who heads our conversion rate optimization efforts. She helps us determine the most sustainable and profitable mix of interview kickstarts online initiatives, of course, with a lot of tests and tweaks and optimization so that we achieve great conversion rate numbers. And we have with us Chandni, who is the Associate Director at IK. She heads and plans creatives and the content strategy for IK, and of course helps translate that and execute that into our customer facing assets on the internet and off the internet. So welcome Chandni, welcome Stuti. Have you ever been on a talk show before? Have you ever been interviewed in an organizational setting?
No, not really. This is my first one. I used to produce talk shows before in my previous job, but this is my first time being on the seat, and I must say it's a lot more pressure than you imagine.
No, then it's also pressure for me because I have never hosted a talk show and I have someone who has experience doing that sitting across the table. Okay, so take it easy, guys. We're just going to have a fun conversation. My first question is for Stuti. You know, we say you manage CRO, and CRO is a very complex term for someone who doesn't come from a marketing background. So, can you tell us a little about what really you do at IK and what is conversion rate optimization?
Definitely. So conversion rate as a term, it can differ for organizations and especially for like services and e-commerce, it can vary widely. So for here at Interview Kickstart, we would say it would be a very simple term as to like how many users visit our website, and out of those users, how many of them convert into a lead for us. So it's something as simple as that. And conversion rate optimization would be just optimizing this ratio, which is leads to visitors ratio. And we can do it in multiple aspects. It could be through design improvements, through user experience improvements, through content improvements. So there's a lot to that, but here's just a brief of what it is.
All right, thank you. Chandni, so, my next question goes out to you. We see a lot of unique ads every day, and then we see a lot of other ads that we just don't remember, right? That doesn't catch our attention. So, how does how does the creative team at IK ensure that we're constantly being creative and putting out things that help us stand out from the clutter?
So I think we follow a lot of, research and data backed approach when we look at coming up with any new messaging, right? And we feel like majority of our inspiration comes from knowing our audiences really well. And when we do understand them really well, what their lives are like, what their pain points with the interview preparation are like, and then when we create craft messaging that addresses those pain points, it automatically becomes it very easy for the audience to resonate with us. And that's how we try to make sure that we are speaking to audiences about things that are really relevant to them, something that they experience on a day-to-day basis when it comes to this whole journey.
All right. So both of you are, putting out stuff that is viewed or absorbed or consumed by, students, our customers. So how do you ensure synergy? How do you ensure that you all are saying the same thing? You all are, that both of you are in sync. Of course, you all are working on different things. Like Chandni is working on creatives, and then Stuti manages the life cycle of a lead once they land up on a landing page. So how do you all do that?
So do you want to go first?
Sure, definitely. So I think we have to be in sync from the get-go. So from the stage where we are thinking about what the ad campaigns are going to be like, what's going to be the main content in those ad copies. So we have to kind of think of the landing pages side by side as well. They can't be isolated. So on landing pages, I can speak a bit more about that. So whatever the messaging is, whatever the user sees in terms of even design, that experience has to stay consistent when they land on the website as well. Otherwise, they might feel they have landed on the wrong page. So, and it also kind of builds trust, and it also helps it remember the brand a bit better if the design is also kind of similar on the ad and the landing page. And Chandni can talk a bit more about the content sync as well.
Yeah.
So another piece is that, right now we are a very lean team, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like me and my team, we are a team of like 4 to 5 members, and then there's Stuti. So it becomes very easy. We have a very robust like process where everything gets reviewed and checked on either sides, right? So before Stuti commences on a test, she kind of, runs it past us saying, guys, this is the kind of messaging I'm trying to
Yeah.
work on
Yeah.
for a test. So what do you think? And then, we kind of work in collaboration. So I think right now it's extremely collaborative as a process also. And, then of course there are layers of reviews and approvals built in so that at the end of it, the consistency stays across the board, right? Across ads and landing pages and all the different pieces of communication we do.
All right, interesting. So Chandni, I'm going to dig a little deeper into creatives. Like, how if you have to come up with a creative, how do you plan? How do you plan the messaging on that particular creative? What's your unique strategy, or you as a team? How do you look at what message should go on this creative? And also, does it differ by different channels that we run ads on?
So, like I said, we are very, for a creative team, we research driven. So anytime we have to come up with a new campaign, now whether that campaign is cross channel or whether it's a channel specific experiment or innovation you're trying, right?
Yeah.
We look at a lot of data, whether it is our own audience data or whether it's researching across, across tech industry and how audiences are behaving. And then we try to create, come up with some hypothesis around it. Saying that maybe if we try this, this might really work because this is what the data shows.
Yeah.
And then we actually test it. And then, after the test implementation, we go back and look at how it really worked or didn't work for us. And then, sort of scale it up from there. So I think that approach is something that helps us get sharper and sharper with our messaging, with each campaign, with each thing that we try and do.
All right, interesting. So, Stuti, Chandni mentioned about testing a hypothesis, right? So, how do you come up with a hypothesis that you want to test? And typically, what are like the broad categories of tests that we have out there? Because for me, I just know that maybe we run landing page tests, to test something. It's very vague. So, can you explain a little bit about how do you realize, okay, I want to test this hypothesis, and what are the different ways, what are the different categories of tests that you run?
Sure. So we can actually do A/B testing on our landing pages. We can also do it on our normal website, could be on our home page or on course pages or blog pages. So that would be all the pages we could do the A/B testing or experiments on. And how we come up with the hypothesis will kind of be quite similar for whether it's on paid landing pages or for our organic pages as well. How we usually start is we look at the data points to first of all figure out which are the most important pages on our website. And then we kind of shortlist them in terms of importance. So say we are working on our homepage to probably improve the conversion rate from there. We will look at the data points as to what is the bounce rate, what is the average time spent on the page. And we'll also look at what kind of traffic or channel mix comes on the homepage, and then see the conversion rate for all the specific channels. For example, say if LinkedIn has a low conversion rate, we will see the ad campaign copy on our LinkedIn ads and see if there is any kind of mismatch or whether we can even improve it further to improve that consistency and that transition to maybe reduce a bounce rate and to improve our conversion rate as well as a result. Other than the data, you can also look at like on heat maps, you can look at user session recordings, which is like users coming to our website and actually see their screen, how they scroll, what they click on. That gives us a little more insights as to what could be the blockers and what also the users kind of interact with more. We can further promote that on our website. We can also look at competitor research or other industry best practices in terms of UI UX. But that will give you like a wide hypothesis on something very specific to your own industry and your website.
Got it. So coming to competitor research, Chani, this question goes out to you. how easy it is to find ads of our competitors. I mean, I am not really aware of any strategy per se to find ads unless you search for them and it shows up in your Google ads. But how do we learn from our competitor ads, and how do we improve? So what's your take there?
So I think to begin with, on your first question about finding competitor ads, right now, increasingly platforms have made it easier to kind of, access and look at each other's ads, right? So like, Facebook has its own ads library.
Okay.
You can go and search for any brand around, and, you will be able to see some of their latest ad campaigns.
Got it.
So accessing ads and getting visibility of ads is easy. I think what is a bigger challenge right now, and I feel, when you look at competition, we don't only look at edtech or interview prep platforms, because an average consumer is bombarded with thousands of messages,
True.
like you said, every day, right?
Yeah.
So you can't say that only an edtech brand is my competitor. Everybody is your competitor, whoever is delivering a message.
Yes.
So of course, we look at edtech and our own category, and see if they are trying anything new, if they are, experimenting with any new formats or things like that. But more than that, we look at cross category also and see, what are some industry experts, whether it's like a soap brand, like a chip brand. It can be any brand, right?
Yeah.
But how are they able to really come up with such a sharp messaging
Yeah.
that they are able to like break through the clutter, really?
That's true. Yeah, some ads just stand out and you probably remember them for years.
Yeah.
Right. Stuti, actually, this question goes out to both of you, because I don't know if we have ever mentioned this anywhere online, or if it's mentioned anywhere on any of our online real estates. What is IK's brand voice? And I think you all both would have the perfect answer for it. We have not defined this anywhere so far, but what according to you is IK's brand voice?
I think IK's brand voice is assertive. So, when we talk to our audiences, we talk to them like they are adults. We talk to them like, like they at least know certain basics, right? That they want to do well in their career. So we don't try to sell a promise or a dream that they never had. So we are assertive and direct in that sense, right? And we tell them that, this is something that you should do. You should not settle for less. You should do better. So there is a certain degree of assertiveness plus aspiration, kind of a motivation built into it. And then there is a good degree of nurture and thoughtfulness also in our voice, right? Where we tell them that, hey, listen, if you are ready and you are willing, we will help make you able to do this. It's not an unachievable thing, or we are not telling you to just do it on your own. We will actually help you get there. So I think it's a combination of assertive, aspirational, and thoughtful, combined together.
What's your take, Stuti?
I think Shanli has covered most of it, but a little bit, our voice also stands for being a bit more approachable.
Yeah.
I think that's the only missing piece. Like, I think we're trying to even improve on that further as we go along, and maybe give them more options to contact us. Right now it's through the webinar, but we want to also help them talk to our sales team and our program advisors directly as well. So that's something which is still work in progress, but we are heading in the approachable direction as well.
All right. So Stuti, I want to take a step back and go back to, where you spoke about landing pages. So, is there a recipe to a perfect landing page? Is there, do we know that in the first fold we have A and in the second fold we have B, and this is what resonates with our user behavior? Is there always a recipe to success, to getting the most conversion rates or the most click-through rates? Clicks rather, or it's always a test, and it's always a test in progress? What do you think?
There's of course not like a perfect recipe for that, but there are of course some things we have to keep in mind. I can just mention a few of them.
Yeah, can you highlight that, please?
Sure, definitely. So for example, I think clarity is very important on a landing page. So maybe the copy in the first fold, which is in like the heading, which is extremely important, that needs to be very clear and easy to understand without any complex words. It should not leave the user even slightly confused. So I think that's one of the most important things. After that would be the call to action. So I think heading is more important than the call to action, because it kind of tells you what you have, why you have to click, and it motivates them to click on the call to action as well.
Yeah.
But CTA copy, its prominence needs to be very, like, it needs to be in the perfect spot as well. And other than that, like the third element in the first fold would be the image, which is next to the headline and the
Yeah.
CTA. So that needs to kind of build trust, because usually people look at the image even before they look at what's written. So that trust, that subconscious motivation is what the needs when they land on the page. And I think a combination of these three elements can help us get that conversion faster.
Interesting. That's a very interesting way. I have another question, because before we move to the fun stuff, there's more fun stuff coming up later. But we are Indians and we're serving customers sitting in the US, right? Most of our students are in the US, and there's a difference in the tone, and there's a difference in the way a certain message is perceived. So how are we able to bridge that gap? Being Indians, we've learned in schools in India, we meet friends who are in India, and we talk like the way Indians talk. So how do we manage to resonate with people coming from different cultures?
I think what really helps is that we have a style guide that we all sort of get inducted and onboarded on from the minute we start doing our job here, right? Like any new writer who comes and creates content goes through a US writing style guide that we have developed. So that is of course the starting point of ensuring that at least on the basic language nuances, there isn't that mismatch. But what really helps again is that we have a lot of team members who sit out of states, and we work in a collaborative fashion, right? So Nick helps review our copies at time and tell us that maybe you should word this differently, or you should mention this point. People in our ops team, a lot of times we run our content past or get our content reviewed by product managers who are anyway on a very day-to-day basis looking at what the consumers are doing and how they should use that insight into product development. So even they give us their feedback. And I think for our content, even apart from language, what is really important is the technical aspect of it, right? Because we are not talking to any audience, we are talking to a very technical audience. So it's very important to get that nuance right also. So when I'm talking about a certain domain of engineering, whether I'm mentioning the relevant topics under it and using the right keywords in my marketing content. And I think with a mix of getting it right technically and the style guide, we managed to make it work very well for the US audience. And lastly, we also engage with content editors from Upwork who are US based, so they also review our content and give their suggestions to us in terms of how we can make it even better and fine-tuned.
Interesting. All right, so we're going to shift gears now. We're going to talk about both of you individually. I'm going to ask you some question that's more related to work, and then we'll go to what you do outside of work. So, Chani, you have a very lean team. You have like three people with you. Stuti, you're just building out your team. You're just one person right now. So it's four of you put together, managing CRO and creators, our content that goes out there. So how do you guys like structure your day? How do you plan? How are you staying productive being such a lean team? And a team that helps bring in revenues in millions, right? So all the leads that you guys bring goes into our sales team, and that's the whole funnel that we follow. So how do you manage to do it? Do you have any secrets to being productive? Are you using some fancy tool that others need to try? I don't know. Or do you sleep extra hours? Do you sleep less hours? What do you do?
Well, I think planning in advance is the key to being productive and to also giving your best on a daily basis. So we kind of plan in advance for the next 3 months as to like what A/B tests, what experiments you want to do on the website. And I also kind of break them down on a page level. So depending on how much traffic the page gets, we can do more experiments. And we kind of just break them down on a page level, like how many we can do in a month. And then I think just communicating that to the design team, to the development team, and keeping everyone in loop from the planning stage is also key. And yeah, I think that just helps to streamline everything better and work like a well-oiled engine.
Yeah. What,
Yeah.
what about you, Chandni?
I think it helps that we have two core values. I mean, only two core values, and people really take them seriously, right? The part about being an owner comes in, becomes very helpful when you're working with a lean team. One takes goals are what they are, whatever their tasks are. You don't really have to kind of, nobody sort of micromanages each other or spends their energy only in following up with each other. People take ownership, and that's why you're able to churn out a lot more work in that sense, right? So that is an important part, and the don't be a jerk part is also helpful, right? Just for the sake of pushing your own productivity, you are not getting into the way of someone else's productivity. So I think the combination of like being able to work well synchronously and asynchronously, right, with help of these two values is what helps us perform at scale even with a lean team.
All right. Interesting. So, one more question, more about again both of you. You all are both, doing creative things. You need to be creatively inspired. I think whenever you're at your job. So, what do you do outside of work? How do you get how do you draw inspiration? What's your source of inspiration rather? Anyone can go. Stuti, you can go.
All right. So I personally love to look at like design inspiration websites, some of them being Dribble. So like Dribble gives you really good designs for landing pages, for website design, and even like some simple things of typography and how you place the layout on a landing page. I think that's something I personally love to do, and just to browse through it keeps my mind creative. Sometimes we do get ideas for landing pages and how we can make the layout and the wireframes, but mostly it's just nice to look at and just to keep up yourself updated with what's happening in the industry.
Nice. What about like doing stuff outside of work, completely different? So I read that you watch a lot of anime.
Okay.
Do you
Yes.
still do that, or was that written very long back?
Yes, I think I watched like a month ago an anime, but I do keep myself updated with like some animes like One Piece, which have been going on since even before I was born.
Yeah.
So I love to watch them, and yep, I don't know if they help me at work, but like that's the only time pass that I have other than my dog, and then I just watch anime.
All right, Chandni, what about you? What's your inspiration? Again, I believe like a lot of things could inspire us which have nothing to do with our
Yeah,
work, and especially in your
exactly.
field. Yeah, go
And
for it.
I think it's important also. The most important thing about, I mean, to stay inspired, you have to stay relaxed also.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you're constantly absorbed with work, fresh ideas just stop coming out, right? But I think there are two tools that are very important to me. One is nature. I think when I'm out in nature looking at like new things, and I'm very amused by like new flowers, butterflies, cloud patterns, different types of sunset and colors. So I get really obsessed with the details that I find in nature,
Yeah,
and it makes me feel very joyous about things in general, right? And how things can be really beautiful if you look at them in the right
yeah,
way.
yeah.
And so that is one aspect. And second thing is music. I'm very close to music. So I listen to music of different genres, and I also love watching music videos. I think music videos are, some of them are done so well, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's a beautiful story told, so I feel like I look at all these cross, sources of art. Also, I live in Goa and I have a lot of artist friends. I feel like I'm the most artistically challenged of the lot. So someone's painting somewhere, like one of my flatmates is a painter, so she's painting somewhere, or like, go visit someone's pop-up stall and see how they have created like
Yeah.
beautiful like objects out of clay.
Yes.
So I think just looking at all of these multimedia forms of art, right,
Yes,
like
yes.
it also keeps you very inspired at all points of time.
Nice. That's so good to hear. So, guys, since both of you, we've been talking about creatives and content and experiments and tests. I think both of you also speak really well and will come up with some great answers if we play a rapid fire game. All right. But there's just one rule: you don't have to be safe. Okay. Be really creative with your answers. What we're going to do, so this ends this whole session, okay? So we want to close this with a bang and make you guys have some fun. What we're going to do is we're going to extract this particular clip where you play this rapid fire. We're going to put it across to the whole team, and we're going to ask them to vote for whoever has given the most quirky answers. So the competition is just between both of you, and you can go crazy with your answers. You can give us stupid, hilarious answers or really smart and witty answers. We'll put it up for voting in front of the team. All right. So now the set of questions are the same, so that you won't say that she got better questions, or I got better questions. All right, so the questions are the same. You have 5 seconds to answer, which means you have like 3 seconds to think, 4 seconds to think and answer. All right, 15 questions. And who wants to go first?
Not me. I think
Okay,
Annie's team for this.
yeah, can we call them?
I think they will be more creative than me for sure.
Chandni, can we call your team? Do you think they'll be able to join?
I doubt it, because they are right now working on this.
Yeah,
like,
we did not
project.
intimate them before, so we'll just
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
just do it by ourselves. Okay. Anyway,
Done.
we'll have them vote. Shruti, you have to
Sounds good.
participate. There's no two ways about it. Like, you have to participate with Chandni. Her team comes or doesn't come.
All right.
Okay. See, but I'll tell you what, you have the advantage because Chandni is going first, and you'll get to know the questions.
Exactly.
Okay, and you will learn from her answers, and you'll be like, okay, she didn't do that well, I'm going to give a better answer. So you have the upper hand there. Okay. Chandni, let's go. Things you would not put in a time machine.
Myself.
Things you would wish for if you were stranded on an island.
A time machine.
Things you wouldn't do for $1 million.
Go for a Himesh Reshammiya concert.
Things you would do when no one's looking.
Hum on a Himesh Reshammiya song, like somewhere out of nowhere, it just pops in my head, and I'm like, but I hope no one's looking when that happens.
But you secretly like him then.
I don't, but it's just a earworm now. You heard it as a kid, you can't get it out of your brain.
All right. Things your parents forgot to tell you.
That you can stop acting chindi after you grow up. Like, I think Indian parents used to behave so middle class, they still do. Like, in the smallest of things, they'll try to like save a little penny here and there. So they really make me feel guilty about like spending on myself. I wish they didn't do that.
All right. So for those who don't know what chindi is, chindi means stingy. So we're trying to be inclusive, and there are a lot of people who don't understand those words. So just some translation there. Things there should be an award for.
Trying to become a better person.
Yeah. Things you shouldn't say when you're walking out of the bathroom.
You're going in there, good luck.
Things you shouldn't do in the office.
Admit that you like Himesh Reshammiya songs.
Things you shouldn't send a friend in a picture.
Your dogs poop and ask if that color is right. For some reason, pet lovers do this.
Yeah.
Is it color right? Is the texture right? Do you
Yeah.
think it looks okay? Yeah, I don't want your dog poop in my phone.
All right. I think someone's done that to Chandni. Things you shouldn't throw off a building.
A time machine, because it might be helpful.
Might be handy. Yeah, when you're stuck on an island. Things you wouldn't want to clean.
Someone's dog's poop.
Things are gentle.
I can do it for my dog. I can't do it for someone else's dog. It's just a mental barrier.
True, with you on that. Things a gentleman shouldn't do.
Call himself a gentleman.
Things you do to get rid of unwanted guests.
I have a whole routine. I start winding down the party. So like first I'll start taking your glasses and keeping it inside so that there's no question of refill. Then the music will go off and suddenly everyone's like, why are we sitting in silence? Then the white lights come on.
Oh yeah,
the
white
lights.
lights.
That's your cue to leave.
Nice. That's a good strategy. I'll try it. Things you
I
know.
think this is going to be revealed now to all my friends after this comes out.
Yeah, in a bit, you'll still have like a month or so, to keep using this strategy.
Yeah.
Things you notice about yourself as you get older. Not calling you old, just a question.
That I'm getting lesser and lesser serious about myself. Like I take myself less and less seriously.
All right. Okay. Things you shouldn't mix.
Coca-Cola and mint, I guess.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you shouldn't mix that. All right, that's it. That's your questions are done, Chandni. That was a rapid fire. Didn't go really rapid because I think we were talking a lot in between. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Stuti, are you ready? I saw you making some notes on the side. Were you
Wow.
writing answers to these
No,
questions?
I was probably just fidgeting out of nervousness that, oh my God, I don't know what to answer for that. That's
Okay, I'm not going to give you any more time to think, and I'm going to start. Okay, things you would not put in a time machine.
my family,
Okay, things you would wish for if you were stranded on an island.
food and water.
Things you wouldn't do for $1 million.
Give my dog to someone else.
Okay, things you would do when no one's looking.
Um, I don't do anything. I mean, there's no separate that.
Things your parents forgot to tell you.
How to behave in how to behave basically.
Things there should be an award for.
To being more patient.
Nice. Things you shouldn't say when walking out of the bathroom.
You might just get slipped. You might just slip in the bathroom.
Okay, things you shouldn't do in the office.
Luckily, we don't go to office, so I haven't thought about that. So it's okay.
All right, things you shouldn't send a friend in a picture.
Your broken toenails.
She's done that. She's done that.
Sounds
Think,
painful to look at.
yeah. Things you shouldn't send. Okay, that idea. Things you shouldn't throw off a building.
Animals, like I've seen people do that recently. Like that's the only thing I can think about right now.
Yeah, that's terrible. Things you wouldn't want to clean.
I can clean almost everything, including my dog's poop, because
And someone else's dog poop as well.
yes, like I have strays over here, so I have to do it when my dad shouts at me in the morning.
Nice. Chandni, you know who to call, okay?
Yes.
Things you do to get rid of unwanted guests.
Leash my dog out on them.
All right, things you notice about yourself as you get older. Again, not calling you old.
Yes, I think slight gray hair tends to show up, so that's the only thing I've noticed as of now.
All right, you have a few more years to go.
Yes.
Things you shouldn't mix.
Personal life with probably family.
All right, great answers, guys, and thank you so much. This was a wrap of the rapid fire and of the questions that I had for you. Thank you so much for being a part of this interview.